So it's been a hot second since we've played some Ad Nauseam. This is definitely one of the decks that's been kind of beaten back a touch by the advent of humans into Modern. And I think that this list has some nice additions that kind of hedge that a small bit while also being generically good cards. We've got here a Slaughter Pact in the main deck, along with a copy of Tolaria West to pick it back up out of the deck. Interesting to note that there's no Laboratory Maniac in this main deck, but we also aren't playing Spoils of the Vault, which means we can just go ahead and not... Well, one of the reasons why this archetype has played Laboratory Maniac in the past is because it's a card that is another win condition should you accidentally Spoils the Vault past your Lightning Storm. And because we're playing Peer Through Depths instead of Spoils the Vault, that's not a risk that we have to take. I like the small spread of removal and sweepers on the board. Again, kind of hedging Metal Image. We got Fatal Push, Bontus, and Supreme Verdict. And this is one of the things that's really important to note. And I think this is the correct way to adapt a deck for a popular deck like Humans in Modern. While this deck has made a number of small decisions to hedge humans, it's not playing a bunch of like narrow cards that are only good against humans. So I think something people kind of do too often is knee-jerk reaction to things, and they see a deck that's like 10% of the format, and they like make changes to their deck that are only good against exactly that deck that's become popular. But like that's not good in how Modern works, right? Like a deck being the most popular in Modern means it's like 10% of the room, which means if you make your deck better against just that deck at the cost of being worse against a lot of other things, you're just making your deck worse in general. So adding small things like Slaughter Pact and Fatal Push and stuff like that are good ways to hedge a matchup like that without making your deck like too bad against the field. This hand is really bad. Let's throw that one back. Sounds good, Turkey. And I had accepted most of the ones before I had logged in. Apparently I learned this today that Pokemon Go has a limit on how many gifts you can accept in one day. So I hit the gift limit threshold for today. So we're basically just looking for Ad Nauseam, possibly a white source as well at this point. So I'm just gonna go ahead and bottom that. We'll suspend Lotus Bloom here. Yeah, the primary reason we're not playing Laboratory Maniac is because we're not playing Spoils of the Vault. Yeah, this 6 is pretty good. Basic Island, I think most Basic Island matchups are pretty good for this archetype in general. Usually this deck is pretty reasonable against controlling strategies. It's a pretty easy Sleight of Hand. I did go out for Community. I got, not only did I pick up a Mewtwo, but I got the Meganium with the extra special attack or whatever it's called. I think I'm actually going to bottom this here. We're like really not looking for mana at this point, and we kind of prefer lands if we're finding mana at all. We've got this Lotus Bloom on suspense, like Ad Nauseam is really what I'm looking for at this point. Potentially copies of Pact of Negation. That means we are not playing against a control deck. Interesting. It does mean these Phyrexian Unlifes are probably going to like punch the clock and go to work though here. So I might as well just take the Temple of Deceit here because Seachrome Coast is going to come into play tap next turn anyway, since I'm playing Temple of Enlightenment this turn. I did get a shiny Chikorita as well, that's true. I got that as well. What's the limit number? I don't know. I'm going to have to start counting it so I can see what it is. It's some large number. Like, I tweeted my friend code, and my friends list went from, like, 12 people to, like, I think I had, like, 90 people a second ago. It's possible I won't be able to stick around for spirits while watching the VOD for sure. Sounds good, Nicholas. It'll be up on YouTube as always. Daily limit is 20. That's pretty good. They were able to put Metamorph into play here. They're actually kind of doing... Dalkin Shackles is not going to be particularly good against what we have going on here. That being said, like, they have 7 power in play here on turn 3, which is, like, not nothing. Yeah, Panera definitely isn't, they're not American-sized portions, but they're reasonably sized portions. Definitely gonna bottom that. We're just like looking for our Ad Nauseam at this point, right? It's a lot of dudes, opponent. Dudes and dudettes. I finished my dinner, but I did not finish my adult slushie, so I'm gonna be muting off and on to finish my slush pouch here. So this is a really important interaction that I want to point out here. If you Angel's Grace when you're at negative health totals, it's not going to do anything for you. So even though we won't die to this attack because we have Phyrexian Unlife, I actually want to Angel's Grace this attack because Angel's Gracing this attack buys us an extra turn. Because the way Phyrexian Unlife interacts with combat damage, any amount of damage that puts you... if I'm at 1, my opponent's entire attack next turn is going to put us into the negative numbers, which then means we're not going to die to poison for 2 more turns. They don't deal 1 damage to us, and then the rest doesn't turn into infect. Everything my opponent does during the attack step next turn is damage, and then the following turn will be infect. So I get 1 more draw step here. So next turn they're going to put me in a negative, and the turn after they'll kill me. We need an Ad Nauseam next turn. This is, just kind of how these kind of decks work sometimes. Just like we found one half of our combo, but the part of our combo that we only have 4 copies of, we're just like not finding it here. It looks like we're gonna die because of it. Do I play this deck often? I seem to. I mean, I can just answer that question for you. We haven't played this deck in a very long time, I feel like, but like I'm a big fan of objective data. The last time I played this deck was on April 13th, 2008. So if often you mean once every 5 months, then sure, yeah, we play this deck often. Seems like a strange definition of often, though. Play it once every 5 months, whether I need to. I'm just a professional here, so just gonna go ahead and cast this card. I would love to repeat this action. Look, Ad Nauseam was building suspense, chat. It's my 3 is the yes button, so I can just press 3 a bunch here. So for those of you who haven't seen this deck before, you draw your entire deck with Ad Nauseam. And then our kill card is Modern Staple Lightning Storm, which we cast targeting our opponent pitching for Simian Spirit Guides. And then we discard a bunch of lands to charge up the Lightning Storm, and then they die. You play this. I play this more often than I play Paper Modern 2. I don't play Paper Modern particularly often. This is definitely a Bontu's Supreme Verdict Fatal Push matchup, I think. This is tough. My opponent's like potentially going to have counterspells in out of their sideboard, but I also kind of feel like I'd rather just like interact with their board a little bit rather than to be like fighting their counterspell axes. So I think I'm just gonna cut the Pact of Negations here. Zero, you're here. Why is there a Conjurer's Bauble in this deck? Thought seized because of no Laboratory Maniac. That makes sense. Okay, so I can cut this then. That makes total sense. I was certain there was a good reason, but I was not seeing it offhand. I think I want Slaughter Pact to kill their things, and then is Peer Through Depths just the worst cantrip? No, I try to do 1 stream every weekend where that stream on the weekend falls has a lot of variance in it. It's often either Saturday or Sunday night, but sometimes I do daytimes too. It depends on just like what I have planned with the family and what other paper events are going on. I think this is the trim. Death Eater, thank you for the continued support. I appreciate it regardless of the level. Thanks for keeping me employed here, and welcome back for the 9th month in a row. I don't know, splashing a third color is not free. Like, a lot of people like to act like splashing a color is no big deal in Modern. It just can't be further from the truth, especially in mid-range decks that like have to use their health total as a resource. A sub is longer than any relationship I've ever been in. Maybe I'm the one. I mean, I'm told I'm the one. The one true wizard. Gosh, this is such a good Hearthstone hand. I mean, like, this is technically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana, right? So this hand can win the game. If this has like a land on top, it's kind of the nuts, right? I'm on the draw. Can I keep this? It's like super speculative, right? Like just like any land in my deck, and just like super happy with what I've done with myself here. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I might keep it. I wish I had a scry. Like, I just like mulligan the spirit guide and have a scry. Dwarf Lord, thank you for the brand new tier 1 sub. And to answer your question about your resub, yeah, that should mean that you didn't subscribe. That's when your sub is up. You'd mulligan. Mulligans are for quitters. Ain't got time for no quitters round here. Wow, that's aggressive. All right. Huh. I would like my Sleight of Hand to resolve. Things aren't looking good for our hero, chat. Things aren't looking good for our hero. Ha-ha! Ha-ha! There are people out there that wanted to mulligan this hand. There are people out there that were going to mulligan this hand. Why would you mulligan, chat, when you could have it all? Why mulligan when you could have everything? Been a long time coming to the single source I go to for Magic and Modern. Well, thank you for... I appreciate that. Thanks for keeping me here as a source for Modern Magic the Gathering. I would love a Phyrexian Unlife. Thank you for asking. This is basically Hearthstone. We draw a land every turn. Exactly. Effectively the same thing. That's annoying, but not the end of the world. So comboing costs 8 mana at the moment, right? No, it costs more than that. All right, so I just unlife this turn then. Ad Nauseam Philly, what an appropriate time to resub. Thank you and welcome back. I just cast Phyrexian Unlife here, right? Right, it's just Unlife here. Unlife cost me 4 at the moment, but I think that's okay. And then next turn, I have 5, 6 plus a land drop. Seems fine. That's around Siege Rhino. Usually I look for $50 donations to build decks. They are building quite the little pile of annoying cards over there. All right, so I've got they're dead, right? I've got 6 here, which casts this, and then my Lightning Storm costs 5, and I get to play a land and have Spirit Guides, and then pay 1 to play around that. So I believe they're dead. I believe they have died. Nice mediocre creatures. So we draw our deck. Our Lightning Storm currently costs 5. We play a land. We pitch some Spirit Guides. Yada, yada, yada. Our opponent dies. Damn, it feels good to be a gangster. Where my Lightning Storm at? Where my Lightning Storm at? There it is. There's my Lightning Storm. Who's a good little Lightning Storm? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Pitch a Spirit Guide. Pitch a Spirit Guide. Pitch a Spirit Guide. Storm costs 5 because of the Thorn of Amethyst. It's a concession lockup. Feels like a concession lockup. Moto's always so confused when we win. It's just like, oh no, what's going on? Oh no! Oh no! Been watching your videos on YouTube for a while now. I have to say your comments and tips for your decks have helped me become a better Magic player. And I have both your lists for Mardu Pyro and Green Black Rock, and I have to say your lists are significantly better than any of the lists that I've played. Well, thank you, Caveman. Credit where credit is due. I don't claim ownership of either of those decks or ideas. Like, obviously, I've played them and tuned them a little bit, but like, you know, they're not that different than anything else other people are going on. Like the prison elements in the Mardu list are definitely from a lot of good people. Done a lot of good testing with those. And honestly, I think with Assassin's Trophy being printed, I think a lot more Magic players are going to revisit the Green Black Rock archetype. And I honestly would not be surprised if Dark Confidant being cut becomes the norm very quickly. Card's pretty bad. SCG kind of has a whole bunch of stuff going on in it. I believe they have 5Ks for a bunch of different formats. I think it's pretty sweet. I think I'm in for another Sleight of Hand. Like, I'm looking for a land, but like Sleight of Hand like helps me find a land in a way, right? Which does it cost for me to review a deck list? Well, you got that wonderful little shovel there next to your name, which means you're a sub. So you should pop on in to the subs Discord by following the instructions here, and then tag me in a post there. I always, I'm not instantly giving feedback because obviously I have other things going on in my life, but I do make a point to check the messages that I'm tagged in there. And posting it there too allows other people that are present in the Discord to give feedback too, which is useful. More eyes on a thing can be helpful. All right, opt could be a lot of different things still. Control, storm, blue-red tempo. Some of these things are better than others for us. I haven't played it, but I'd have to imagine Storm's probably a harder matchup for this deck because they're kind of a faster linear deck than you, on average, I'd think. Although Leyline of Sanctity out of the sideboard's pretty good in that matchup. Silence as well. Drew this. We are just like nothing but professionalism when it comes to finding additional lands here today. I would love this Temple of Enlightenment. Thank you for asking. So we're just looking for that one. That's what we're looking for. That one right there. We've got our Force of Will. We've got our Angel's Grace. We've got our Lotus Bloom. We've got our Black Lotus coming in here in a second. We got Force of Will and Black Lotus, chat. What's not to love? I'm new to big magic scenes. How much, not including food and hotel, should I bring to something? Like, I mean, not including food and hotel, like, it depends on what you want to spend, right? Like think of going to a large magic tournament, like going to a convention. Gosh, are they like aggressively field diverting me here? That's so incredibly rude. I was kind of attached to the Angel's Grace on top of my deck opponent. Have to be so mean. Why you have to be so mean? I'm kind of like in for another. I'm kind of like in for another Force of Will here, I think. Nice Hallowed Fountain deck, opponent. I'll see you on the other side. Slight's a sorcery nod. Alright, so they have to beat double Pact of Negation. I bet they can't. I'd bet money they can't beat one Pact of Negation here. Much less two. I'm super surprised that Matt is actually. He's not just a persona. Oh, real good commentator. Yeah, he's good. He's good at what he does. Matt and I played a lot of Magic. This is where I draw my deck, draw my deck, draw my deck. This is where I draw my deck so early in the morning. This is the way we draw the deck, draw the deck, draw the deck. This is the way we draw the deck so early in the morning. You can always tell when you draw your whole deck and they don't concede, you just like feel the sodium. It's like running off of them. Alright, there's a Lightning Storm. Target you. For those of you that never played this deck on Magic Online before, you have to hold the control key when you cast it to retain priority, because if you don't retain priority, you don't get an opportunity to activate it. Maybe their hand is like 5 lands. So this is at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15. So I have to discard 2 more lands to this. I should have held this in my hand. There was no reason to play it out. We should have plenty of lands, so it shouldn't matter, but... Nope. It was funny, so in 2016, when I was playing a bunch of Open Series events still, I actually beat Ad Nauseam playing for them in the quarterfinals of a classic because they had the spoils pass too many of their lands to go off, and I ended up holding 3 lands in my hand to send their Lightning Storm back at them. What a useful and constructive use of our time here, opponent. What a useful and constructive use of our time. I have more lands in my hand than you have cards in your hand. Everyone knows that does evil time out before the control deck, right? Yeah, Land Nauseam was kind of a sweet one. Alright, so this is Silence, Boseiju, Mystic Teachings in, I'd assume. Slaughter Pacts, an easy out. What are my trims here? Is Phyrexian Unlife an okay trim? Trimming a non-zero amount of artifacts is probably okay too. Just because they're likely gonna board in Stony Silence. What do you feel about this? Unlife, Bauble, Pentad Prism out, along with Slaughter Pact. Bring in 2 Silence, a Boseiju, and a Mystic Teachings. Seems fine. What's going on, Tone? Howdy, folks. Happy Saturday. Bracken, did you see they're buffing Torborn? Torbjorn, whatever his name is, your stupid dwarf. You were playing the dwarf, right? I feel like you played the dwarf when we played. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else, though. Torbjorn. My day was swell. I had a great day. Declan and I went to the kids museum this morning, and then met Christy and Jake for lunch, and we took them all to the park. Any comments on my sideboarding here? Are you upset they're trying to make him playable? What character will you meme with now? I do love me both a baguette. I do love me both baguette and mercy. Well, this hand is great. They're nerfing baguette though. They're taking her shield down 100 points. You said park and my dogs lost their stuff. I hate myself, so I exclusively quick play with Mercy. I mean, quick playing with Mercy is not bad because, like, you always you always have plenty of people. Like, nobody else is ever taking your character, right? Because, like, nobody plays Mercy and Quick Play. Hey, GRB1P, thank you very much for that brand new Twitch Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome. I already have all of my stuff, so I just need mana at this point. Gosh, look at that. Build it and they will come, chat. Build it and they will come. This is exciting. All right. All the dominoes are falling into place here. You play Ad Nauseam before we hit the next open. Negative. I guess I should have played this. There's really no reason not to, right? We'll kill them 2 turns from now. Unless they have a Vendiclick they could get us. They get to see how dead they are, right? What am I eating? I am drinking a blue Hawaiian frozen cocktail. It is an adult slushy and it is delicious. It is 240 calories of pure deliciousness. My honey sponsorship has ended, unfortunately, DJ. That ran out earlier this month. Are we getting drunk tonight? Nah, just one. It's like my dessert with my dinner, basically. Booze bits. It's like candy booze. Are we going to CG off? No, negatory. Don't think so. All right, so Pact of Negation. Well, that's like an okay draw. So this is, how do we, Stony does stop Prism. How do we feel about end step Ad Nauseam here to try and draw another Pact of Negation so I can kill them next turn? Is it loose to like, I kind of think I like that, right? Like, there's a good chance they have double counterspell here. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and pass. Just like end step value Ad Nauseam, then like untap and kill them. I didn't drink alcohol for a long time either. I basically just like didn't care for the flavor. So I just like stick to like sugary, fruity things. It's more enjoyable in my opinion. So it's actually against the Twitch terms of service to drink alcohol for money on stream. I believe for legal reasons, but don't quote me on that. Which spell? All right, so now... Well, now we're just gonna wait another turn or two, right? I need another land. If I draw another land, I can silence Grace Ad Nauseam. Am I supposed to just hang tight here? I think I'm just supposed to hang tight here. There's a good chance they have like Dispel plus like a negate or something, or they can even negate plus snap Dispel here. I think I want to hang tight. The odds of them being like, especially like we're under like 0 pressure, right? Like there's no incentive to go for it. My opponent's not like, oh, I'm gonna die if I don't go for it soon. This is one of the reasons why this type of matchup is so good for this archetype. Because you just get to like sit here and like wait until your stuff is likely to line up really well against what they're doing. This is perfect. You can go ahead. Sculpt my mind. Begin the sculpting. It certainly won't be the last thing you do this game. Now be very quiet while hunting celestial colonnades. Be very quiet. I actually really hate mules. They're terrible. They usually serve them in like a brass cup too, which doesn't like do them any favors. Some of my best friends are celestial Khalidades. Why would you do that? Shh. You know, people often ask what's a deck that beats up on blue-white control. This actually isn't a deck I've thought to respond with before, but it's actually a really good choice. This archetype kind of sticks it to blue-white control. Cast Force of Will. Does silence resolve? I've been drunk for the last 12 hours. I'm doing all right. Life is swell. Don't mind me. Just drawing my deck. I'm gonna cast this lightning storm and kill you in about 30 seconds. That's true. It's better than Force. We didn't have to pitch anything. Pact of Negation is like strictly better than Force. If you're not gonna, if there isn't the next turn, it's much better. I'd like to cast this spell targeting you. Don't mind me. Just killing you dead. Don't mind me. This game was a great example of why cards like Vendilion Clique and Nimble Obstructionist are some of the best cards you can have in blue-white control. You need to kill the combo deck. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So I need to trigger this one more time. And then we keep the rest of the lands in our hand for when our opponent like discards a land, thinking they're clever. And then we're like, no, I drew my entire deck, so of course I have more lands than you could possibly have. So die. Yeah. Our opponent apparently resembles a pure brick of sodium. This is 18 plus 3, kill you. That's true. At least, are they complaining? No, they're not even complaining in chat. They're just like sitting there wasting their time. Doug or not, thank you very much for the 9-month resubscription. That's 3/4 of a year. That's a long time. Thanks for keeping me employed. I appreciate that. Welcome back. All right, we're 2-0-4-0 with Ad Nauseam here. We beat Blue Steel in the first match, which is like, you know, one of the many tier 3, 4 fringe decks in Modern. We just beat Blue-White Control, which I suspect is a pretty good matchup for this archetype. So this hand doesn't have either of our combo pieces in it, but like it's got mana. It's like pretty impossible to mulligan a hand with Lotus Bloom in the opener in this deck, I think. And we got a lot of selection here to go with the Lotus Bloom. Neither of these cards are really what I'm looking for, right? Although I guess just like more cantrips is fine, but I definitely don't need more mana, especially with drawing the Simian Spirit Guide. If money, thank you for the 9-month resubscription. I appreciate that. Yeah, Armored Shoes, I'd accept that they don't know what's going on, except they know how we killed them in the first game. So like they know what's going on. So Modern doesn't really have a metagame. I think there's definitely a reason why this deck's become less popular, and I think a big part of that is the efficient aggro decks have become a little bit better, and definitely include like some good disruption too, right? So like decks like Humans and Blue-Red Tempo, and even like Hollowed One to a degree, are just like efficient decks that kill you very quickly, that don't give you time to stumble and fumble around. Like, at the absolute nuts, I think this deck can kill on 3 with the absolute stones, but usually it's like turn 4 or 5 kills, which are often a little bit too slow in Modern. $10 to lose a game with Lightning Storm on yourself just to show how outclassed the opponent is. Damn it, Brecken. Why must you tempt me? I'm gonna bottom this against Hardened Scales. Guess Serum Visions. Bottom, an Angel's Grace, top a second. Just looking for a pure 3 depths at this point. I need the memes, Jeff. There is a deck list on your screen, Croc, that can easily answer that question for you. If you're on mobile, you can have exclamation point deck in chat to get a link to the deck list. Niv with the tree fitty. Thank you for the support. I appreciate that. Evening to you too. Thanks for keeping me around. The Yavimaya Coast here likely implies that this is the iteration of Hardened Scales that's splashing Stubborn Denial. I've seen that list floating around a little bit. Doesn't guarantee it, but definitely implies it a little bit, I think. That's true. They could assume it's targeting them. Alright, so I'm gonna play City of Brass out here. Look deep into the murky water. Looking for not that. Alright, so bottom all of these. Looking for a Ad Nauseam here. What are the good matchups for Ad Nauseam? In my experience, matches that tend to be good for this deck are ones that are slower and aren't providing a clock. So like we just beat blue-white control, and typically that's a pretty reasonable matchup for a deck like this. Snookums, thank you for the brand new Prime support. And there's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch right now. Thanks for supporting mine this month with that. It happens infrequently enough, Alpstrom, that I don't think it's really worth like adding something to the overlay for. This Ingmoth Nexus is like really scurry. If we draw, we get 3 shots at Ad Nauseam to kill them here. So I can draw it for the turn, or I can find it with Sleight of Hand to kill them. Because I have this Simian Spirit Guide in my hand. I don't know that Tron is strictly a buy for Ad Nauseam. I don't know if I agree with that. We're pretty dead to this Ingmoth Nexus here if we don't, Oh, you know what? We're not strictly dead to the Ingmoth Nexus. So what we do here is we take this City of Brass and we transmute this Tolaria West for Slaughter Pact. Yeah, that's definitely the line. And I think I'm actually going to go ahead and pitch this Spirit Guide for the last one here, because I want to leave City of Brass up in case I have to Angel's Grace next turn. Although if I have to Angel's Grace next turn, I'm probably dead anyways. Yeah, maybe pitching the Spirit Guide there is loose. I think we kind of got our back against the wall at this point. I'm not sure. Did you have a question about something, Burning Piggy? This submitted deck list doesn't have a Maniac in it. So for those of you that are not familiar with what we do here, most of the decks that we play on this stream are viewer-submitted deck lists or archetypes. So the person that submitted this is trying out this iteration that has a Conjurer's Bubble to grab its Lightning Storm back up. The new Browbeat effect. That one's tough to evaluate, I think. So, like, obviously, traditional Browbeat's, like, unplayable. But that effect explicitly you get to turn a land into a second copy of it. I don't know that you want that in traditional burn, because like anything that costs more than 1 mana in traditional burn has to be really good. It's probably just too slow in modern in general. I probably wouldn't be too surprised if it saw standard play though. You should read. I want to give you a 10-minute break to read what Transmute does. The cards are on your screen. Move along here. Got a Hurkyl's Recall. Sign me up. Gonna board. This matchup's probably a little bit tough because they've got like good pressure, and they're also gonna have counter spells out of their sideboard. So this is the type of matchup that I would venture to guess this deck kind of struggles in, like these tempo style decks that have both disruption and a clock. We get to slow ourselves down here and be a little bit interactive here to like kind of cut their clock, but I definitely think if I had to imagine, this is probably one of the harder ones. Yeah, seems okay. Like, not super exciting, but fine. I guess I have combo mana interaction, so I guess this hand's actually pretty good. I just need some lands. Yeah, I guess this is fine. Just need some lands. I think I just Tolaria West on one here. I feel a little bit bad if I find Lotus Bloom. Because, like, if I Gemstone Mine here and Sleight of Hand into Lotus Bloom, I can suspend it a turn sooner. But, like, losing counters off my Gemstone Mines is not a zero cost. That's actually just exactly what I want to do this turn, right? If they soft stub me here, I'll pitch the Simian Spirit Guide. Just like trading 1 mana for 2 later. I think Teferi might be banned out of Modern at any point. No. I think of all the things you could complain about in Modern, the slow control deck having powerful things is like not particularly high on the list. Yeah, Hippity, we're gonna put I think Assassin's Trophy is a pretty good upgrade to Abrupt Decay in that deck, and I think or I know for a fact Knight of Autumn is a fantastic upgrade to the Reclamation Sage. Feels bad, man. It's unfortunately they're actually all sized the same way, the silent spell. That's a small bug with the WordPress widget that I'm using. So it's unfortunately not something that I have good control over. All my banners are a standard size. They're all, well, not standard. They're all sized the same. And I am very much like not a web developer. So like everything you see on my site is me just like hobbling different WordPress things together. So I think I just passed the turn here. And then like during their end step, like recall pick their stuff up. Where would you want Decay over Trophy? I don't think you want Decay over Trophy in any deck or matchup in Modern. I don't think there's enough counterspells in general. And like the decks where you want potentially want counterspells in Modern, you're generally also want to kill Planeswalkers more than you want your card not to be countered. I mean, like, my website does a lot more than just layouts, Fancy Penguin. Like, the upside to using WordPress is like the Python of website development. Like, you want to do anything and you Google, like, do this thing WordPress. There's, like, 6 different plugins that let you do it very easily. Bye, friends. I also, firmly do not prescribe to the school. I'm also a big fan of like not fixing things that aren't broken. So like my website's like very functional and reasonable. So like not like I've spent a lot of time formatting everything into the website as it is. So I'm like not about to take, you know, another 40, 50, 60 hours and like rebuild it in something else. Unless there's like a huge reason to. Yeah, Python's very popular for a reason. It's very, very flexible, modular. It's like, its one big downside is speed versus like some compiled languages. But like, if you want Python to do something where computation speed really matters, you can actually call C code directly from Python. So like, you're still better off like writing your application in Python and then just like calling the C code directly for the part that you need to be fast. SCGCon is 2.5 months away. I have no idea what I'm playing at that tournament. Very, very long time from now. There's like going to be a set release. There's going to be a bunch of tournaments before then. They could potentially ban or unban something in Modern. Like, well, I bought him a Spirit Guide. We drew a Spirit Guide. I mean, if they don't have a Stubborn Denial here, we're actually just like one land away from killing them, right? Yeah, I'm going to Columbus for sure. This Gemstone Mine's been incredibly awkward. If this Gemstone Mine had been a City of Brass, we'd have been much better off this game. I can't even kill them next turn, right? I just don't have enough mana. Because, like, even if I draw an untapped land here, if I pitch both of these, I only have 2 Spirit Guides left in my deck to draw, so I can't actually kill them with Lightning Storm. I'm gonna attempt to scum them and see if they concede. And by scum them, I mean skill check them. I'm gonna cast Ad Nauseam, draw my deck, and if they don't concede, I'll concede the game. Just waste a hot second of their time here. You got me. Good call. No, I already played a land for the turn. I played the City of Brass. The classic draw my deck. It was my only out, chat. It was my only out. I was dead on board. No, I only have one Pact of Negation. Or Pact, Slaughter Pact, so I can't like Slaughter Pact 2 Ink Moths that are both lethal. Push Pact, Angel's Grace, and her upkeep, kill with a land. Well, I had to push Pact, Angel's Grace. Yeah, I think you're right, actually. Yeah, you're right. I could have done that. I could have pushed plus Pacted on their turn, and then untapped Angel's Grace, and then drawn an untapped land. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's a good thing to point out. So I could have played both those removal spells and then not paid for the slaughter. Well, the jar doesn't matter because killing the thing still removes it from combat. So regeneration is an intuitive mechanic. That's why they removed it from the game. That's why things don't have regeneration anymore. Regenerating causes an object that gets regenerated to be removed from combat. So yeah, level 70 Meme Lord there is super correct. I could have, on their turn, I could have pushed one Ink Moth, Slaughter Pacted the other, be using my City of Brass, and then on my turn, I would then choose to not pay for the Slaughter Pact, but Angel's Grace in response, and then I could... Actually, I wouldn't even need to rip a land that way, right? No, yeah, I would need to rip the untapped land because otherwise I'm in the same spot. Yeah, so I could rip an untapped land and then kill them. Oh, this is actually a pretty big mistake here. This is a small one, but it's a good one to point out. On turn 1 with this deck, you should always cast Sleight of Hand, because Sleight of Hand gives you a better chance than Serum Visions to suspend Lotus Bloom on the first turn of the game. And like this Lotus Bloom now is like not going to be fast enough. I will, however, take this Phyrexian Unlife. Yeah, opponent does appear to be playing Grishoalbrand. So Serum Visions on 1 gives you a slightly better chance to hit a land drop because it gets you through 3 cards rather than Sleight of Hand. So if you have your second land drop guaranteed anyways and you have both Sleight of Hand and Serum Visions on turn 1 with this deck, you should always Sleight of Hand because it gives you that better chance to find the Lotus Bloom. What's Revolt Aggro? So this stream is more organized than a lot of other Magic streams that you're going to find. And in the title there, you'll see that exclamation point deck queue. If you type that in chat, you'll get a link to the list of decks that we are playing tonight and the list of decks that I'm playing in the future. And we'll find a link to that sweet Revolt Aggro list, as well as lots of other sweet decks that we're playing. Are they just like gonna... Are they just gonna like hit us with Borborygmos twice? Because they discarded another Borborygmos here. So if they have like another... If they have like another Goryo's Vengeance in hand, we could just like die. What's the late stream? I try and do at least one stream per weekend, basically. And like when that stream kind of fits in, it varies weekend to weekend, but I try to do at least one a weekend. And this weekend I was looking at my schedule and what I had going on, and I was like, screw it, let's do tonight. Angel's Grace is not the droid I'm looking for. Spirit Guide is not the droid I'm looking for. Definitely looking for a couple more lands here and then an Ad Nauseam. The Goryo's Vengeance, the first Borborygmos, feels weird if they don't have the second one for the other one here. It feels strange to me. Put Land Life into play. Yep. They banned a Shoal and a Night's Whisper. It's interesting. Got Sleight of Hand here. I guess I need a black mana tier 2 at some point, right? So I also need a black mana. The making my 4th land drop here with the Simian Spirit Guide in my hand is actually kind of nice, because it means that I can Pact of Negation something now, because I can just like pay for it next turn. Alright, I'm gonna bottom that, but I'm actually gonna top this Temple of Deceit because I need a 2nd black source. Desperate Ritual, sure. Aptly named. I think I just Pact of Negation this. I can Pact of Negation again next turn as interaction as well, which is nice. Tormenting Voice spinning World Spine Worm. Deal. That's the most fair Pact of Negation I've ever seen, right? This kind of thing. Kind of thing we live for around these parts. Unique uses for cards going on, Velik. Evening. Happy Saturday indeed. Oops, did I do that? This is the way we draw our deck, draw our deck, draw our deck. This is the way we draw our deck so early in the morning. Silence seems good here. Slaughter Pact seems bad. Some of these decks have Thought Seizes in them. I think that's fine to leave in. I can trim Peer Through Depths here. I think Truth does less like mostly irrelevant. I think I just like this. We're gonna trim Truths and or Depths and Slaughter Pact for 2 silences. Just like slow them down a little bit. Opponent's definitely a touch more interactive than, or a touch faster than we are on average. You can maybe make an argument for Leyline of Sanctity because they can't combo us with Borborygmas through a Leyline of Sanctity. Which is kind of appealing. I don't know what I'd cut. Are the Leylines better than the Pact of Negations maybe? Because Pact of Negations like only interaction when we're like moving incredibly slow. Yeah, because I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. That slows them down. I mean, it gets their faster win con though, and like, we're not trying to like lock them out of winning the game, we're just trying to like stop them from killing us before we kill them. So like, from that perspective, Leyline means they like can't kill us on turn 2. Calhones, thanks for the good times over the summer and the good times so far this school year. I appreciate the 6 months. Thanks for the half a year of support and welcome back. It's just like everything you want in life. It's got a little Leyline, it's got a little cantrips, it's got some lands, it's got an Unlife. I forgot to board in Echoing Truth. I forgot to board in Echoing Truth. I haven't played this archetype enough. Usually just like almost always board an Echoing Truth in the dark. Yeah. And I don't think like that's not like a plus for Laboratory Maniac in my mind. That's just like I'm an idiot and didn't board correctly. I'm like, I know that Leyline of Sanctity is a card that Grishoalbrand plays. Just like bringing in the one Echoing Truth was like a pretty low cost. Should have just come in. I would love to play first, thank you. This hand just doesn't really do much. It's got a lot of redundant combo pieces and like not a lot of lands. It doesn't have my Leyline, so I'm gonna go ahead and mulligan. This hand is very, very good, and I'm going to keep. Needs an Angel's Grace or an Unlife, but we'll get there. We'll get there. This is a hand full of modern, legal Magic the Gathering cards. A true hand among hands, if you would. I think I'm in for that. Yeah, double Black Lotus hands are like quite great. Don't mind me. I'm just gonna take these and throw them onto the table. Bug Helper, thank you for the 5-month resubscription there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thank you for the continued support. And now we're just aggressively bottoming anything that's not a cantrip, Unlife or Angel's Grace. Show me potato salad. So I actually kind of like the idea. So like, why, to best approach and understand where you're coming from, Nod Nell Quick, why do you think Laboratory Maniac is a requirement for this deck? Can you articulate to me why you think it's weird that there's not one? What issue is Laboratory Maniac solving? And don't say Leyline of Sanctity, because we just went over that was me boarding incorrectly. So Leyline of Sanctity is not a good answer in my opinion. Infinite Life. How many Infinite Life decks exist in Modern? How many of those are we working with here, you think? Do you think it's a significant number? And not even how many decks in general have 4 of them, but like how popular are those decks, right? Like they're not particularly popular. Okay, so how does it beat Dramoka's command? How is Dramoka's command beating us? Is this a value ad nauseam? That's a good question. It actually might be. So like, here's the thing, Anime. People that are meddling maging you aren't meddling maging Lightning Storm players that are good. Good players are meddling maging cards like they're meddling maging your Ad Nauseams and your Angel's Graces. Honestly, it's probably just Ad Nauseam every time, right? Because here's the thing. Like, if someone else just said you named Jamoka, stops Jamoka's command, you would also stop Jamoka's command? The Pact of Negation that you drew when you drew your entire deck. Hey, De Perez, thank you for the 2-month resub there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. He likes to conform. Yeah. I honestly think that like the Laboratory Maniac doesn't look like it on paper. It doesn't look like it solves issues that this deck has to me. And past that, like, you have to draw this Gray Ogre sometimes. Miller, thank you for the 10 months resubscription there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Is this still a value Ad Nauseam? I feel like I'm not supposed to value Ad Nauseam here because there's ley lines in my deck, which makes it harder. All right, well that makes value Ad Nauseam more appealing. Now I value Ad Nauseam because I just need an Angel's Grace to win, right? Now I just like guaranteed value Ad Nauseam because like Angel's Grace kills them. Unlife means I win next turn. Angel's Grace kills them. Oh wait, I need a mana too, right? No, I have plenty of mana. Hey, what's going on? Thank you for the 9-month resub there, Sauber. Just the classic cantrip Ad Nauseam. Opponent said good games. I don't think they're gonna make us go through the motions here, which is nice. Listen, chat. I punted game 2 there, but we ended up pulling it out. Thanks everyone for hanging out. We're 3-1 now with Ad Nauseam. Huh. This build feels real trim. Spoils of the Vault was always a card that I was never too keen on. And like we just kind of talked about the lack of Lab Man there for a hot second, that's definitely something I'm going to touch again on the wrap-up. I kind of like this configuration. It's really trim. There's like no BS. You got a bunch of 4-ofs of all the important cards. Our couple of 1-ofs make sense why they're 1-ofs. I'm so glad we have a music emote now. Confirmed real modern deck, right? Yep. And at a minimum, we are 3-2 now. Huh. So something I was thinking about. This hand's not good enough, especially. I might consider keeping this if this land wasn't a Gemstone Mine, but with that being Gemstone Mine, this definitely isn't good enough. One of the goals of my website is to like keep the list current. And it's hard to keep lists current if I'm not playing them. So I'm thinking maybe I will keep track of like what was the last league I played with every deck on my website, and then maybe offer some kind of incentive bonus for people to donate for lists that haven't been played in so many months, so that way they get refreshed every once in a while. We revisit them. Something to think about. Someone had asked me if we play this deck a lot, and I was like, nope. The last time we played it was April. And maybe that's something I'll put together later this week. So the Tron matchup is generally good for Ad Nauseam. That being said, we're on the draw here, and our hand's kind of slow. think I'm in for another Serum Visions here. That's not a bad idea too. I don't want to auto add everything on the site to the queue, but like maybe once something's been, maybe once something like hasn't been played for like 4 months, I add it to the bottom of the queue. So that way it guarantees to get played again. That's not a bad idea. Instead of giving it an explicit bonus, just like add it in there so it works its way up to the top naturally. That's probably a better way to do it. No, that just becomes cluttered very quickly, not now quick. Just like could quickly become unwieldy. The goal of the site too is not to just be not just be all encompassing, but also to be like condensed and concise. All right, so this is happening in 2 turns. So I think I go top here. And then I'm gonna do this. Yeah, that's true too. That's actually very true. All the deck lists are in the YouTube archives. That's actually a great point. Details on how my deck queue works can be found at this link here. If I could type. This is a good read actually. Just got to wasteland me. So if they Karn me again, if they Karn another land next turn, I'll only have 6 mana. So if they have another Karn here, I'm probably dead, because they're gonna get to go Karn a land, play another Karn another land. Tower Ulamog also does it. Legacy just isn't particularly popular. Also, in my experience, people tend to play Legacy online tends to be more competitive than Legacy in paper a lot of the time, even large tournaments, because it's cheaper to change decks online, so people are less likely to play bad decks online. There's a Warhammer queue now. What are my plans for that? I plan to let people donate $10 for me to play a Warhammer deck of their choosing, and then at some point in a future Warhammer stream, I will play their deck for a minimum of an hour, and then give feedback on it afterwards. The caveat with the Warhammer queue is that I'm only doing a guaranteed like 2.5 to 3 hours of Warhammer a week, unless I guess if I had a lot of people donate for decks, I would make room for more. Yeah, that's probably true, so that's probably like a non-issue. I have an artifact beta key. Not for the current closed beta, but I have a key that will give me access to it once it goes into open beta. Artifact is a new digital collectible card game that's being created by Valve and being produced, or it was created by Richard Garfield, as the software is being developed by Valve. So I think I just pass here, and then we're gonna like even value Ad Nauseam is like not good here, right? I bought it from someone who went to PAX. So, if I value Ad Nauseam, I won't be able to kill them next turn. I think I'm just supposed to Ad Nauseam here and, like, try and hit some land drops. Like, the fact that they double Stone Raid me is just, like, really hurts. You are currently sub-microbiologist. Thank you for re-upping. If you're on, you'll need to refresh your browser page to send through the notification. I think I'm looking for an Angel's Grace, right? Ideally, I would like to find an Angel's Grace before I stop here. Perfect. I would be pretty surprised if they didn't give open beta access with a pre-order of the game. I'd be pretty surprised if that wasn't the case. Well, you need an Angel's Grace effect to not die to your thing. Unlife doesn't do much right now. I need the Spirit Guides. Probably just spinning lands. The Pentad Prism doesn't really do anything either, right? They showed gameplay of Artifact at PAX this year. If you do a Google search, you can find it. The gameplay looks really, really confusing at a glance, but most card games look confusing at a glance, so I'm reserving full judgment until I've actually played the game. Seems only fair. What does a second Ad Nauseam do for us? That's a good question. Probably nothing. We're just gonna get Ulamog next turn and die. I believe we've lost the game here. Someone else commented earlier this matchup was a buy for Tron, and in my experience, that's not true. I think Ad Nauseam's ahead, but I think claiming it's a buy is very, very strong. Oh, you know what? No, Pact of Negation doesn't even do anything. I should have kept the Pact of Negation, but that doesn't actually do anything either, because they still get the Ulamog trigger. My biggest concern, I have two potential concerns with Artifact. The first is that, and this is a structural concern, not a gameplay concern. My first is that all the buzz I hear about Artifact is just talking about the competitive aspect and the competitive aspect. They're going to do competitive, right? And competitive TCGs are a super niche market. No, people were saying this matchup's a buy for Ad Nauseam, and I don't think it's a buy for Ad Nauseam. I think Tron has a real chance to win. It's definitely not a buy for Tron. This matchup is definitely favored for Ad Nauseam, but I don't think it's favored by a significant margin. Yeah. So TCGs in general are a niche market, and competitive TCGs are a niche within a niche. So I'm worried there won't be a player base there to support it, especially not a viewer base on Twitch as someone who might want to make content for the game from that perspective. My second worry about the game, and this is one, maybe it's just silence is just time walk. Maybe this will feel fine once I actually play it. The variance, the places where they've put the variance in Artifact at a glance, doesn't look ideal as someone on the outside with a lot of TCG experience looking in. Like the pathing and having variance on where your units attack and the variance on where your hero gets positioned in a lane. That seems like a weird, really feel bad place to put variance in the game. Did I catch any Chikorita today? Crazy Ship, thank you for the 13 months. And Dan with the 4-month resub. Thank you there for the re-ups, folks. I appreciate that. Seems very reasonable. Yeah, I caught a bunch of Chikoritas today. I actually caught a Mewtwo as well, which is awesome. We went out and did a couple of raids. September well spent. Storm Thief, thank you for the 2-month free subscription there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. So we're looking for Ad Nauseam at this point. Also wouldn't mind like a hair more mana. I'm gonna go bottom with this, top with this. The other thing is that as someone... The other thing is that, like, as someone who wants to make content, like, Magic's a pretty complex game, but, like, if you come into a game of Magic at any point, you can kind of, like, assess the board and, like, understand. If you know what's going on with Magic, you could, like, open up this at any point and go, okay, he's playing Ad Nauseam, his opponent's playing Tron, we're currently on turn 2, like, it could be anybody's game. Whereas, like, with the game of Artifact, if I open a stream at any specific point and only see one lane, at a glance, I don't really have a good knowledge base of, like, what's going on, right? And, like, as a content creator, I'm very much aware of, like, a lot of people are watching streams like this with other things going on, right? So, like, if you have to be, like, fully engaged in a stream of Artifact to be able to follow it, engage with it as content, it can't be something, if you can't successfully watch it as something just in the background, it's probably not going to have a very good time, right? It's basically what it comes down to. Basically the point I'm getting at. And again, like, I am optimistic because Valve's a great company and they make great software, and I haven't played it for myself, so, like, maybe my concerns are unfounded. I mean, I actually get to Pact of Negation a Karn here, and then so long as they don't have World Breaker, we kill them next turn. Yeah, that's the other thing too. The fact that, like, Valve pushes their Steam.tv thing kind of worries me as a content producer. Because, like, I want the game that I'm streaming to have, like, more integrations with Twitch, right? Yeah, exactly, Vienna. And I don't think you're outside the norm for that situation, right? No, and this is so Killer Switch. I hear people say that a lot of the time too, and it's true, but no card game is new viewer friendly. And this is, I need to write an article about this because something that really irks me. Magic players who like to crap on, like, Magic Online and Magic's digital presence in general, they like to kind of perpetuate this idea that, like, if you start playing Hearthstone today and have never played it before, you're going to automatically be able to watch any Hearthstone stream and understand what's going on. And that couldn't be further from the truth. As someone who learned Hearthstone for the first time this year, the first time I expected to pull a stream up the way Magic players talk about Hearthstone and understand everything that was going on. Had no clue. Not a goddamn idea of what was going on the screen. It's pictures on the battlefield. Sure, yeah, I could understand that one person had more things in play, but I didn't understand any of the actual gameplay or the depth that was going on. And I was completely lost for a long time until I really understood how to play the game. And it's just like, while Magic Online is not pretty, it is functional, right? Like, Magic Online is like an Excel spreadsheet. It does what you need it to do without being flashy about it. And, like, for people that just want to watch Magic be played or play Magic, it's functional. A lot of the complaints about Magic Online are related to things about, like, making the interface friendly or pretty. As far as, like, being a Magic rules engine goes, Magic Online does a really good job of doing that. Honestly, it's not even strictly Moto's interface that needs the issue. It's the little things, right? Like the you activated your creature land by mistake and it didn't protect you from that. The little things that don't prevent the user from doing the thing that they didn't want to do. The K command menu. Yeah, those little details, those are the big glaring things. True, but I was saying that with the intention of it, you have a big viewer base here, you should also be able to do it with a new game. Yeah, it's tough. Well, Brutality actually has a good menu. Brutality has checkboxes. I pride myself on being fair and reasonable, and I am very critical of things that are bad, but I like to think that I'm very fair and honest with things that deserve to be praised, and there are things about Magic Online that it does very well. There's a lot of other things like leaking memory, hemorrhaging memory, sorry, let's call it what it is, that are terrible and should be fixed. But to imply that this application does everything poorly is disingenuous. It's dishonest. Has a metric ton of bugs. Okay, so you could probably argue that I'm in the top some small fraction of a percent for volume of Magic Online games played by any person in the world, right? I don't file for comp that often, and believe me, I'm the type of person that every time this application sneezes wrong at me and I feel like I deserve compensation, I'm gonna file for comp. I don't file for comp that often playing Magic Online in Modern with a variety of tier 12 cards. I don't file for comp that often. So like, yeah, there's long outstanding issues like Wall of Roots, but there's also most of what it does is working very well. Ad Nauseam in Lightning Storm, bottom of my deck. Okay, thanks. Natural Tron, Carnu. Arrgh. Yeah, from a programming perspective, I expect, and it's one of the things that's kind of frustrating about Magic Online. Like, from a programming perspective, I would expect the Magic rules engine to have more issues than the interface, but it's like little interface details that actually have more issues on Magic Online than anything else. It's like the little things, like the Culligan's command menu, and, you know, I accidentally did a thing that you should definitely protect me from being, like, clicking through my combat step. Like, so, Hex TCG is a game that's similar to Magic that has a combat step, and this is like, what they did is a very great example of a little thing that's good interface design. In Hex, there's a checkbox in their settings where you can check it so your normal pass hotkey or normal F2 hotkey doesn't pass through your combat step. So it has an option to protect you from clicking through your combat step. Things like that are a great example of good user-friendly interfaces that are these little areas where Magic Online just comes up short. And it's not related to the Magic rules engine, which is definitely incredibly complicated. But it's just like those little things where it's just like, nope, that is not what I intended to do. And if you were good software, you would help me do what I intended to do. Leonin Arbiters, another great example of a card that's poorly programmed. You have to click on your opponent's card. If Leonin Arbiter was well designed, when you went to shuffle your deck with Leonin Arbiter out, it would say, hey, there's a Leonin Arbiter. Did you want to pay 2 mana? That clip is great. It is really good. Sure, bugs like that come up, Terminator. But I'm also saying, like, can you give me an example? Like, that bug didn't exist for a long time. In the grand scheme of things, that was fixed very quickly. The fact that I play so many decks means that if there were a lot of cards that weren't working properly, I'd probably be finding them consistently. Yeah, when Cavern only worked with the first creature type on a creature. That was a good one. All right, let's just draw another copy Ad Nauseam here and win the game. It's not what we were going for. Do I Do I just go get Pact of Negation here? To use it, I'd have to burn my Lotus Bloom, but I think I'm also okay with that. Here's the adult answer to that question, microbiologist. If all of your cards in Magic Online suddenly being worth $0 caused you financial distress, you probably shouldn't have that much money tied up in Magic Online, and you should pull it out and put it into traditional investment engines. That being said, I would be surprised if they truly expect to support both platforms long term. But at the same time, I think Arena's probably 5-10 years or more off of doing everything Magic Online does. And as long as Magic Online keeps making them money, which it does currently, it makes them piles of money. I don't think it's going anywhere. That's incredibly rude. That's good. I'm glad. I'm almost glad we're losing this match in a way. Just like highlight one of the reasons why Tron's really good. It's got a chance in most places. I would be very surprised if they ever did in some far off land change to just doing arena stuff if they didn't give people who are invested in Magic Online something in the new platform. But again, I wouldn't expect that to happen for a very long time. I'd be very surprised if that came up anytime soon. They might just take my white source here, honestly. They know I have this other Unlife from the... Yeah, we're like kind of dead here. I guess if they have nothing, I could like draw like Pentad Prism into Ad Nauseam, so we'll take a couple draw steps here, but we're definitely not favored at this point in the game. Why not Pact that? That's it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Why not Pact that? I'm just gonna, everybody that I'm timing out, please take a moment to go read what the cards on my board do, because you don't understand the text box of the cards that are in play. Four color guys, thank you Bionic Broccoli for the biddies. I appreciate that. Welcome. As always, a reminder to everybody, if every 100 bits or more that you cheer and $1 or more that you donate, you can bump a deck in the queue. People who support my content dictate what we do and when we do it. So I'm definitely keeping the Temple of Enlightenment here, and I'm going to Conjurer's Bauble into it. I think I want to bottom this Temple of Deceit. In the time it takes you to type most questions like that into chat, you can also just like look up card text. Is there a specific reason? Nope, zero reason. Nobody's written them yet is the reason. The reason why a Hearthstone-like interactive overlay doesn't exist for Magic Online is because no one's written one. And like, here's actually another fun fact. You know all the really awesome Hearthstone API stuff and Hearthstone Twitch overlay? Blizzard didn't write any of that. That's all third-party stuff. There's a third party that's wrote an interactive overlay for Arena that's really sweet. Yeah, there is one for Arena. And it's also not made by Wizards. See, if Wizards got it, they would be writing it. Actually, it makes me kind of sad that I really don't like Eternal Card Games gameplay, because Direwolf Digital is so good at technology. Like, their tech stuff for their games, as far as, like, Eternal goes. And I played Pokemon TCGO as another thing that they wrote in Elder Test Legends. Like, they're such a good tech company. I really wish I liked their game more. And from a someone who appreciates good technology standpoint, I wish I was a bigger fan of what their game is. Yeah, Direwolf, for game design is LSV, Patrick Sullivan, and a bunch of other Channel Fireball professionals. Good games opponent. All right, so we finished 3 and 2. The first thing I want to touch on in the wrap up here is something that I would like to is something that a lot of people are gonna have questions about. There's no Laboratory Maniac in this deck, and I actually really like the exclusion of Laboratory Maniac in this deck. So Laboratory Maniac's a really niche card that is intended to cover things like infinite health or explicitly a lot of other iterations of this archetype play Spoils of the Vault, and occasionally you can Spoils past your Lightning Storm and then not have ways to win the game. So because this iteration is playing Peer Through Depths, it doesn't risk going past its only Lightning Storm. So Lightning Storms are only win condition. The common comment that people have is, well, what about Meddling Mage? And the answer to that is people that are going to be Meddling Maging this deck aren't naming Lightning Storm if they understand what's good. They're naming Ad Nauseam because if you cast Ad Nauseam and draw your entire deck, you're just going to draw Slaughter Pact or Echoing Truth and deal with the Meddling Mage. We have Conjurer's Bauble here, and the reason why this card exists is so when you draw your Lightning Storm and your opponent discards it, you can Conjurer's Bauble Lightning Storm and draw it again, so that insulates you against discard. Someone asked, what about Leyline of Sanctity? This main deck, that is the one downside, this main deck is cold to Leyline of Sanctity. Post board, you just board in your Echoing Truth, and you draw your entire deck, you Echoing Truth their Leyline of Sanctity, you kill them with Lightning Storm, so... One of the reasons to play Labman is to beat the mirror match. The opponent Ad Nauseam. The game. How does this deck? Sure. If you're expecting a lot of infinite health and you're expecting a lot of Ad Nauseam mirror matches and main deck Leyline of Sanctities, sure. Play a Laboratory Maniac. In my opinion, decks that generate infinite health, Ad Nauseam mirror matches, and main deck Leyline of Sanctities are such an incredibly small percentage of the modern field that if I was taking this deck to a large tournament, I would rather not have a Grey Ogre in my deck that I have to draw on occasion and just have my deck be more consistent because I'm just not drawing this Grey Ogre some amount of the time. So while you are correct that in some small percentage, this Laboratory Maniac is like helping you win where Lightning Storm wouldn't, I think the fact that it's a terrible card to draw is going to hurt you more often than you're going to play against this very, very narrow subset of matches where Laboratory Maniac is a necessity. Do you typically have enough mana to go off with Echoing Truth to turn you off? Well, Laboratory Maniac takes more mana too. Laboratory Maniac is a card where you have to pay blue mana, so you can't cast it with Simian Spirit Guide, and then you have to cast a cantrip afterwards too. So going off with Laboratory Maniac takes a similar amount of mana to Echoing Truth then Lightning Storm. Nice, Cannon Gear. Congrats. Yeah, the Hollow End deck is very good. All right, so that's my wrap on Ad Nauseam. I really like this configuration overall. We went 3 and 2, which is, it's a modern deck. The board felt really trim. Our ins and outs felt really easy, and I liked the Tolaria West Slaughter Pact, and I liked the No Laboratory Maniac. I will probably throw this configuration up on the website. I'm gonna make a note to do that. I actually really like this build. All right, let's keep moving along here because I like to play